Okay, remember that they're changing my voice. This video is about Ezekiel 38, the Lord's great victory over the nations. Keep in mind that Gog is a play on words for the gay G, the gay earth deity, and it's more than just, leftists or something. It's everyone outside the divine order has yoked themselves to the spirit of homosexuality. And Magog, right? Mage, O for the reproductive cycle, and G, and the gay mage, and so on and so forth. Okay, and the game, O, reproductive cycle, world game, what have you. Look up G, Gaia, gay IA, the G in Freemasonry, G in regards to criminal street gangs, what have you. So, the word of the Lord came to me, Son of man, set your face against Gog of the land of Magog, the chief priests of Meshech and Tubal. And there's all kinds of wordplay there. Okay, so it's magic, Shaka, it's Mihawks, okay, them trying to get the women that and the things that belong to the Royal African Falcon Martial Art Order. Okay, Meshach, who shacks with who? Believe it or not, this stuff all connects, right? And Tubal Cain, going Tubal, the T, the feminist suffix, and U-ball, and the lab, at lab, and at ball, and at bell, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of wordplay there. If you have any questions about it, I'll put in the comments. Prophesy against him and say, this is what the sovereign Lord says. I am against you, Gog, chief priest of Meshech and Tubal. I will turn you around and put hooks in your jaws and bring you out with your whole army, your horses, your horsemen, fully armed, and a great horde with large and small shields, all of them brandishing their swords. So what they put faith in is what they brought with them, right? So those shields as opposed to the armor of God. Their swords, their spirit as opposed to the spirit of God. And notice that God puts hooks in their jaws. And there's a reason why it's called being hooked on something. Because the culture comes from the it comes from the occult, right? Especially the Western occult, especially the Judeo-Greco-Roman, Neo-Roman occult. Okay, so he's hooked in his ways, his paths, his way of thinking, and whatever else he's hooked on. Having immoral sex, immature sex, what have you. Persia, Cush, and Put will be with them, all with shields and helmets. Also Gomer with all its troops, and Beth Togarmah from the far north with all its troops, the many nations with you. Now keep in mind, it's more than that. We see in Jeremiah that it also is Ashkenaz, Mini, and Arat. So you have Gomer over there from Europe, and you have Ashkenaz over there from Europe. So it's basically saying all the people in the world, not just, certain types of people from certain types of groups, but all the peoples, all the nations. We see that in Isaiah 34. Get ready, be prepared, you and all the hordes gathered around you, and take command of them. After many days you will be called to arms. In future years we will invade a land that has recovered from war, whose people were gathered from many nations to the mountains of Israel, which had long been desolate. They had been brought out from the nations, and now all of them live in safety. You and all your troops and the many nations with you will go up, advancing like a storm. You will be like a cloud covering the land. This is what the sovereign Lord says. On that day, thoughts will come into your mind, and you will devise an evil scheme. Notice it goes out of its way to say that God is marshaling people relative to justice, is what Ezekiel says, and that they're devising an evil scheme. This is key in understanding who's who. Because in Ezekiel 14, verses 4 through, we'll call it 10 or so, it says that God speaks through the wicked, through their idols, and at times can make them think like they're in the right, or that their path makes enough sense, and things like this. You will say, I will invade a land of unwalled villages. I will attack a peaceful and unsuspecting people, all of them living without walls and without gates and bars. Let's stop there. So are Americans peaceful? No. Are Israelis? No. Are Russians? No. Okay. Are Palestinians? No. Not in terms of as a group. So it's not talking about any nation on this planet. It's talking about me. I am the gate to Zion, to Israel in the spiritual realm, to Jerusalem in the spiritual realm. It's talking about the world coming against me and anyone who has rallied to me, and the spirits of the righteous with me. Okay? And it gets a little confusing when they talk about how they're plundering and so on and so forth. That has to do with them clashing with me. Okay. So again, that part is very key here. It says it's a peaceful and unsuspecting people. So are people in America not suspecting invasion? Is Israel? No. So it's not talking about people in the flesh for the most part. It's talking about me and anyone who obeys God to me. Okay. So he says that he will plunder and loot. So I will plunder and loot and turn my hand against the resettled ruins and the people gathered from the nations, rich in livestock and goods, living at the center of the land. Sheba and Dedan and the merchants of Tarshish and all her villages will say to you, have you come to plunder? Have you gathered your hoards to loot, to carry off silver and gold, to take away livestock and goods, and to seize much plunder? Therefore, son of man, prophesy and say to Gog, this is what the sovereign Lord says. In that day, when my people Israel are living in safety, will you not take notice of it? You will come from your place in the far north, you and the many nations with you, all of them riding on horses, a great horde, a mighty army. You will advance against my people Israel like a cloud that covers the land. In days to come, Gog, I will bring you against my land so that the nations may know me when I am proved holy through you before your eyes. So I connected the cloud, obviously, from Jeremiah, from Job. Here it is in Ezekiel chapter 38. I talked about Lamentations, right? So God is a cloud of his anger, a cloud that is the spirit of Gog and Magog, okay, advancing against the righteous. This is what the sovereign Lord says. You are the one I spoke of in former days by my servants, the prophets of Israel. At that time, they prophesied for years that I would bring you against them. This is what will happen in that day. When Gog attacks the land of Israel, my hot anger will be aroused, declares the sovereign Lord. In my zeal and fiery wrath, I declare that at that time there shall be a great earthquake in the land of Israel. The fish in the sea, the birds in the sky, the beasts of the field, every creature that moves along the ground, and all the people on the face of the earth will tremble at my presence. The mountains will be overturned, the cliffs will crumble, and every wall will fall to the ground. Now, let's think about this for a second here. This obviously connects to Revelation, right? The trumpets, the bulls, the seventh bull, the seventh trumpet, the seventh seal. There's an earthquake, right? Things collapse. But it's figuratively speaking, okay? So it says that when they attack the righteous, right? That's the only way to interpret it. Because when we look at the pattern in the Bible, when it talks about sacred ground, right? Ceremonial burial, holy place, these elements of religion, okay? It's referring to things that are holy, not things that are defiled. When the Israelites did the wrong thing, they were told to go out to the camp and to purify themselves and wait a certain period of time before re-entering the camp. And we see that the 7 is the number of purification. So it's referring to a holy gathering of people, a holy collection of people. That's why it must be me. Everyone else is cheating me out of my right to lead. They're all doing the wrong thing. Tech, breeding, cheating, and ill-gotten gains means in the future this couldn't possibly come true. People are defiled. They're breeding abominations. There's a lot of reasons why I'm right about this. And the earthquake is figurative. We see, and I believe it's Nahum, that the earth there's a figurative earthquake referred to, and I think also in Habakkuk, where an army, and its chariots and its wheels, it's said to be so potent that it's like an earthquake. Okay, that's what it's referring to. It's referring to the spirit of an army, causing the spirit of those in rebellion to tremble. So you have the rich people who are arrogant and they're full of guilt and they're wondering what's going to happen when they meet their maker. You have the rebels who are cheating me out of my right to lead. So in their own ways, they're trembling, they're afraid. And some people are lashing out, trying to act bad. Some people look sad, and they have their various responses to the situation. Pretty straightforward there. And so the things that they rely on, they're mountains, right, where they worship their deities. Right? These mountains that were sacred to the Canaanites and these other people in the area, they symbolize other people's religions. They're said to be overthrown. They fall to the ground. They spiritually fail. Okay. I will summon a sword against Gog on all my mountains, declares the sovereign Lord. Every man's sword will be against his brother. I will execute judgment on him with plague and bloodshed. I will pour down torrents of hailstones and burning sulfur on him, and on his troops, and on the many nations with him. And so I will show my greatness and my holiness, and will make myself known in the sights of many nations, that they will know that I am the Lord. So how will they know who's the Lord? Well, it has to do with who's doing the right thing, who's doing the wrong thing. A lot of people pretend. There's propaganda, theater arts, there's racists, there's all kinds of idiots out there. People with gay agendas, people with this agenda, that agenda, tribalists, people want to pretend that their religion is right and it can do no wrong, and so on and so forth. But after this clash that we see going on now, we see people being hooked to the machine. We see that people are aware that the groups that they're in are in the wrong. And they start wondering what they should have done. And so they know that someone more like Martin Luther King is in the right, and he didn't, his application of the Bible either came close to not failing or didn't fail. It's a point of reference one way or another. And therefore, they know that the way he worshiped God in his spirit is either closer to the Spirit of God or is God from their point of view. And they look at their own ways and they know they failed. They look at Joel Osteen. They look at Billy Graham and all these famous guys. They look at their local pastors. They look at the government. They look at the propaganda from the military and so on and so forth. And they know that they have failed to be holy. And so as you see the evidence of their failure, it's being compared to, it's being compared to the spirit in nature dying. It's being compared to the mountains collapsing, the earthquake. It's being compared to hailstones, which have been compared to in Isaiah 34. It's been compared to, spreading the line of chaos and desolation. So they turn into a state that is void of the Spirit of God. Right? They come closer to what it means to be in hell, which is to be away from God and suffering. And when their flesh dies, they start coming into the essence of suffering. Because God is a God of justice. He's not going to let you shake off the fact that you are not in God's Spirit. There has to be suffering for there to be justice when you consider the nature of their crimes as individuals and their crimes as groups, the groups that they've yoked themselves to.